Alright guys, so all workflows created in SharePoint Design 2010 or 2013 are known as sequential workflows. Okay, this means that they are structured as a series of steps that are executed in a sequence. Okay, when a new workflow is created, a single step is added to the workflow surface. A workflow must always contain at least one step. Additional step objects are added to the workflow by using the step button in the insert group of the menu bar. So which pretty much means that if I go ahead and let's go ahead and create a brand new list from here. Okay, and this list, just any list, and this list is going to be a contacts list. Okay, this one, and okay. So by the way, when I create these lists from here, I don't have to publish it. Okay. So AQL contacts 1.
It saves automatically?
Yes. As soon as I create it, it gets created. But there might be other things you might have to end up saving. Okay. Edit column list, and you're going to see that, okay, you know what, I have all these columns. Okay. I can go back to close this out, and I can go back to list and libraries again and scroll down, and I can go ahead and see my AQL contacts. And while I'm here, I can just use this preview button up in the top and open up my just to verify that it's already been created. Okay, yeah, you know what, it's already been created. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and just write down a very basic workflow on it. Okay, and just the basic workflow is gonna be, I'm just gonna, when a user creates a record, I'm just going to do something as basic as just go ahead and log what the user has done into the workflow history. Okay, something really basic so that we understand the structure over here. So let's start with creating a workflow, and this time it's going to be a list workflow. Now, as we know, list workflow needs a list for it to work, right? So I'm going to scroll down and select AQL contacts right there. So my workflow is going to be based on this, and the name of this workflow is going to be, log to history. Okay, and in the platform type, it's going to be SharePoint 2013 workflows. Sorry. So it's going to be SharePoint 2013. You're going to have an option for selecting SharePoint 2010 and 2013, but let's do SharePoint 2013 workflow. SharePoint 2013 and 2010, they look pretty much the same, but SharePoint 2013 is a little more advanced. It's got few more features built within it. Architecturally, behind the scenes, it's a lot more robust, but as a developer, you wouldn't see that. The only thing that you're going to see is a few more features which are built within SharePoint 2013, which SharePoint 10 did not. But if you do SharePoint 2013, SharePoint 2010 is going to be pretty much the same. Okay, and then select SharePoint 2013 workflow as a platform type. Hit on OK, and this creates a brand new workflow page for me. And this is where I'm going to go ahead and configure my workflow. The first thing that you're going to see over here is a step. This is a step, and the name of the step is stage 1. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and rename this stage to something more acceptable, which is in progress, let's just say. Okay, and over here I get an option to actually choose what I want to do over here. Remember the whole thing which we did with info path, which is there were certain conditions and there were certain actions, right? Remember, so you have if as a condition, and then there were certain actions like validation or formatting or action itself, and action actually had several different actions, right? So SharePoint Designer is pretty much the same thing, pretty much the same conditions and pretty much the same actions, but on steroids. It's really robust. When you click on your set of actions over here, you're going to see a lot of crazy actions. And trust me, these actions, they go way far. You can actually do a lot of things, in your SharePoint workflows, which, in the past, programmers were capable of doing. Okay, and if you think that you actually have hit, a certain roadblock and you want certain actions which don't really exist in here, you can just, call a SharePoint .NET developer to actually develop this actions for you, and that's really what they do. They end up creating a couple different actions which the company needs, and then they're pretty much done with the work of SharePoint .NET developer. Okay, but in here, for the most part, 80% of the companies, they just use what's already in here. So your knowledge of SharePoint workflow developer needs to be a rock solid understanding of all these actions. We're gonna use some of the really common ones, okay, like under the core actions. So this whole category is divided into recent actions. Recent actions is, as you progress, you're gonna see that these actions are added under the ones that you use the most are added under the recent actions. Okay, core actions are the core, and the list actions are the one that you end up using a lot. And under core actions, you're gonna see an action by the name log to history list. Okay, so pretty much what it does is that, as soon as the workflow is started, it's just going to log a message, to the workflow history. As of this point in time, that message is not going to be really helpful for debugging purposes, but we just want to see how this whole thing works. Okay, so this message is going to be my first SharePoint workflow done on a Sunday when I was half brain dead. Right? Makes sense, right? Things are so am I. So am I. So that's my action. All right, that's my first action. Okay. Now, just one other thing that I'm going to do is I can create several different stages over here. Okay, which are again, more like steps, and I can have, and we're gonna, see the importance of stages down the line. But for just as a regular standard that I've been using, I'm just going to go ahead and name this as completed. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, in here, I'm going to go ahead and use another action, another log to history, which is going to be workflow completed. Okay, and now I need to link these two stages together. These two stages are completely different, two different entities. Okay, so I'm going to use one other by selecting this section, only this section over here. My cursor cannot be at any other section. It's got to be this nice, beautiful pink line or orange line. It's supposed to be, right in this stage over here. And when I click on action, I see only one, which is go to stage. And I'm going to say, hey, go to the completed stage.
So the completed is the name which you specified?
Yes. I gave the stage this name. Okay. And then in the completed stage, I'm going to say that, hey, you know what? Go to stage again, but this time just end the workflow. Okay. Instead of this, I can end the workflow over here as well. I can just do that as well.
So this is like a step.
Yeah. So these are like steps. I could have done this as well. Okay. So let's do it this way. Keep it nice and easy. Okay. And we're gonna go ahead and make more modifications as we progress. Okay, so all I'm saying is that, hey, just log to the workflow history over here, and then as soon as it's done, just go ahead and end the workflow here. Okay, and now, so this is where I have the save and publish button. Okay, and I click on publish, and it's going to go ahead and publish this workflow to my AQL contact one list. But there's something that we forgot, which is I didn't specify the trigger options, the start options. Right, so I can go back in here and click on workflow settings, and I have allowed this workflow to be manually started. That's all which is selected over here. The second option is start workflow automatically when an item is created, start workflow automatically when an item is changed. So I select all those options. Okay, anytime when there's a new entry in there, let this workflow fire. Anytime when the data in here is modified, let this workflow fire. Okay, and plus, you can go back in there and then manually start the workflow as well. Okay, let's click on publish again. And now let's go to my AQL contacts list, which I created. I can do it from here, or I could do it from the browser. Okay, click on this, and then I can click on this preview button up in the top, which is going to pop open my AQL contacts one list. Okay, and I already see that my workflow, which was logged to history, is already attached over here. It's part of the view. I see that the column has already been created. Okay, so just a real quick FYI, I'm pretty sure everybody remembers this from the past sessions, but when you associate a workflow to a list or library, the name that you have given for that association, and in my case it's logged to history, gets created as a column, and this column shows the status of the workflow. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and write down alright, that's all I care about. mzmh13 at gmail.com. Hit on save and click on F5. Hopefully my workflow started. Yes, it's in progress right now. Okay, and it's gonna be in progress. In the last workflows, yes. Yes. Right, and plus, and let's not forget that the three-step workflow is a template which has already been programmed, just like this. It's already been programmed and it's sitting over there. But this is over here. It's like an open soccer stadium, or like an open cricket stadium. So it's up to you how many shots you want to hit over here.
That one you have to go back and forth.
Right. On that one, on the three-step workflow, you got to follow what three-step workflow wants you to do, because that workflow is already programmed. If you want to use that, you go by its rules. But over here, you're really creating a workflow. So pretty much what you want is what you program in here. Okay. So the reason why it says in progress is because we gave the stage the name in progress. Remember, I wanted to create a second one which was completed, and I wanted to jump from the first to the second one is done. Then it will say completed over here. Okay. So, but then I click on in progress workflow, and the first thing that I'm going to see, and I'm pretty sure everybody recognizes this page from our previous discussions, which is the first part over here of this workflow status page shows the main information about the workflow itself, and like the initiator, started, run, and then it says the item, which is the list item on which it ran. Okay, and it shows the last name over here only. If I click on this, it's going to take me to the item itself. Okay, and the internal status over here is completed. This is the real status. Remember when the workflow goes from in progress to completed, like the three-step workflow used to do. This was the internal status. This is the status that I actually gave it. It says in progress, but I know for a fact that it's showing in progress only because the name of my stage is in progress. Okay, if I had given the name of my stage as completed, it would show completed over here. Okay, now if I scroll down, did we create any tasks in here? No. Right, all we did is we used the most basic workflow action in there, which was log to history, and it did what I wanted it to do, which is my first SharePoint workflow done on a Sunday when I was half brain dead. Am I not a genius, guys?
Yes.
Half brain dead genius, right?
Your brain is still working.
So this is what I wanted it to do. This was a workflow action which I was using, log to history. So it basically logs it to the workflow history. Okay, and now we're going to see that if we go back, there could actually be a lot of other things that we can program within the workflow. Edit workflows, and it's going to open up my workflow again, and this is what my workflow looked like. I can go ahead and drop in a second stage over here, and this time I'm going to say the name of the stage is completed. Okay, and in here I'm going to write down a second workflow action, which is going to be log to history again, and this is going to be in completed workflow is about to end. Okay, and over here I'm going to change the transition to stage. I'm saying that, hey, instead of just ending the workflow, go to completed. Okay, and in completed, after I select this transition to stage, and I see this this pink or orange. Is this pink, orange, blue? What color is this?
That's orange.
Or did you guys see that article? Yeah. Did you see that article?
Yeah.
Okay,
That was surprising.
So I was using my phone. So
Hold on. We're gonna have a long conversation over here on this color. So all right. So you see this orange line over here? Make sure that it's an orange line which is selected. You think that's blue? All right. So I'm going to select this line over here and then select the action, and then what I see over here is just the action, just those actions filtered by what I can apply in this location, in this place over here, in the stage over here, which is going to be go to stage. Okay, so I select in here and then I say enter workflow. Okay, so this stage jumps over to the second, and in the second stage, it's going to go ahead and end the workflow. Now, when you look at SharePoint 2010, you will not find transition to stage. There is no transition to stage. Okay, and all these are just very basic steps. Okay, that's the first difference between 2013 and 2010. All right. So now I go ahead and click on publish again. Takes a couple minutes, but it finally publishes, and I can go back to my equal contacts one, click on refresh.
Did you turn off your recording when you were debating on the color?
Yes.
Good job.
Click on my buddy John Doe. Okay, and then click on save, and I see that the workflow says in progress. I click on, or actually didn't even start. Okay, and it says completed over here. Okay, so it jumped the stage from in progress to completed, and what I see over here is completed. I click on it. Internal status is completed. Status is completed. I scroll down. On the task section, there are no tasks. I did not assign any tasks to anyone. Down at the bottom, I see workflow history, and in workflow history, I see my first SharePoint workflow done on Sunday when I was half brain dead, and this is coming from the second stage, which is incompleted. Workflow is about to end. Okay, so these are log to history workflow action from both of my two stages.
But you went into that SharePoint designer setting, and from there you changed the status of the workflow.
Yes.
But that's not the case. Because this
Is going to be going back to my workflow action, but this time I'm going to make my workflow a little more intelligent, which is I want to log. I'm tired of calling myself half brain dead, so I want to log in the guy whom I just entered information as the guy who's half brain dead genius. Okay, so so what I'm going to do is edit workflow and change my workflow history. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take out this text from in there. Okay, but as soon as I have this place over there for selecting entering text, I see the ellipse and I see FX over here. Okay, FX is a lot of conditions that I can specify in there. Not conditions, but formulas that just say okay. But if I click on ellipse, I can use this ellipse, which is the string builder. I can go ahead and generate very smart strings from over here. Okay, and this could be, I click on add or change lookup. Okay, and the first thing that it actually shows is the current item. It's immensely important that you understand the concept of current item. Current item basically means the item on which the workflow is running. Okay, so let me make this clear again. a workflow does not run on the entire list. I mean, even though you configure the workflow on the whole list, but it does not run on the whole list. It runs only on a specific item.
If there's 10 tasks in the list and there has been 5 has been approved and 4 not, so of course going to run 4 not in all time, right?
Yes, and not just that. If I create if there are 100 items already there in the list, and then I create the 101, the 101st workflow, I'm sorry, 101st entry in there. The workflow does not run on 101 list items. It just runs only on the last one that I created. Okay, and then there's going to be as many instances of workflows as there are items in there. So let's just say that if I go ahead and create 20 different list items in there, so there's going to be a new instance of workflow created for every single list item in there. Okay, there's going to be one workflow instance created for every single list item in there. Okay, and that list item and that workflow works only on that list item. So current item over here basically means that what is the list item on which this workflow is running. Okay, all right.
So this way you have option of selecting each item and running a workflow
on it. And then if you actually go to the workflow settings, remember you can actually see how many instances of workflows are running on it. If they're like, let's just say that this workflow generates tasks, which basically means that it's got to wait till the person comes in and then completes the task. So which pretty much means that this workflow is still in the waiting stage. So if you go back and if there are like 20 different items like these, then you're going to see 20 workflow instances which are just waiting for users to complete the tasks. So again, what I mean to say over here in plain simple words is every workflow runs on a list item. So every list item has got its own instance of workflow. Okay, and that's why I see the current item over here. Current item means that the current item on which this workflow is running.
So you're saying that like we did before.
So for every list item, a new instance of workflow gets created. And that is the whole concept of current item. Next time when you see current item, you got to know that this is the item on which the workflow was instantiated. Okay. So now what I'm going to say that select over here is from the current item, let me get the last name. Okay. Or actually the first name first. Okay. Makes sense? Alright. And then I'm also going to get the last name. Current item, last name. No, this is not another workflow. I'm just saying that I need 2 columns. I want to get the information from the first name column and the last name column, and I'm going to generate a string out of them. That's all I'm saying. Okay. All I'm doing over here, this is, if you take a look at it, this is a string builder. Okay. This helps me generate dynamic strings. I can actually write down static text like like everything that follows, which is this. Okay. But then I can actually get information from the list item, and then make that as part of my string as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and use this string and put it in the workflows, put it in the workflow history. Okay, so I'm saying that first name, last name, which is this person, is long time. Click on OK. Alright, so let's go ahead and publish and give me a first name and a last name, Rustam.
First name and last name?
How do you spell it?
Alright, man. Alright, man.
If you don't know how to spell that, don't ever think going to Russia.
Exactly.
Alright, so where's my okay, so I'm gonna go right from here, equal context 1, okay, and let's go ahead and create a new item in there. The last name is going to be Vladimir.
Last name's Putin, actually.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, yeah. Last
Yeah. Double T, I think, right?
No, no.
Single?
Are you making a Putin?
I'm just checking your spelling.
It's not a verb and preposition.
All right, man. Put in Vladimir. I click on save. Click on refresh, and I'm gonna see
This list
it's in progress, and
This is just going to crash.
it's completed.
Because he's not genius.
is a
Runtime error.
All right, I go back and I take a look at it at the workflow history. I scroll down, and Vladimir Putin is a half-brained dead genius that I have seen in a long time.
Oh, so you concatenated
Right.
that? You shouldn't have done that.
you're in trouble now. So, but what I wanted to show over here is this is what I can do with String Builder. It's pretty powerful. So what I did is that I wrote down some text over here, and then I got the first name and the last name from the list item. And that's strong. That's really powerful. Because now I can go ahead and I have ways to actually retrieve information of what users entered. What is users input? I can grab that. Okay, and then I can go ahead and manipulate that depending on how I want it. I can make anybody half-brained dead genius over here. Okay, so
So anyone.
so anyone can be a half-brained dead genius, right?
So if you put another name,
So let's go ahead and do that.
make
Give me a second name.
his brain outlet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, his brain is progress, actually.
All right, Mavish, give me a name.
I guess my name is Jamal.
All right, so what's your last name?
Jamal, J-M-L.
All right, so let's go ahead and do Jamal and Mavish. Okay,
Spell it right.
M-A-Y.
I mean, wrong, sorry.
Okay.
H is instead of.
Oh my god, you know my stuff.
Yeah. I'm good on names.
M-A-H-W-I-S.
I don't even know your
Oh, M-H. Oh, I'm sorry about that.
May wish. It's like a may and then a wish. You make a wish.
Mavish. Sorry about that.
It's alright.
All right, go back, take a look at it. It's got, Mavish J is half-brained dead genius that I've seen in a long time. Okay. So what I mean to say is that now it's dynamic. It's not static like before. My program accepts input from the user, and it actually concatenates, all the information, and I can do whatever I want with it. Okay, that makes sense, right? So what we just saw is an extremely powerful feature of String Builder. Okay, and you're gonna see that over and over and over again.
I do understand that it combines